In just a few weeks, the kids head back to school. Time to start working on the supply list, the new clothes, and to figure out what shots or physicals they need. Dr. Rachel Dawkins from All Children's Hospital is back to break down who needs what and all kinds of other good stuff. So
Yes.
Thank you for coming on the show today.
Anytime. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's such a busy time for parents, and there's so much to think about, but this is one of the most important, right?
Yeah.
To make sure your kids have everything they need medically to go back to school. So I want to start with the little ones and
Yes.
kindergarten, especially parents who this is their first child going to kindergarten. What do they need to know?
Yeah, so really important to make sure your child is ready for school. Check in with your pediatrician, get that yearly physical if you haven't already. And for kindergarten, they're going to need some vaccines to go back to school.
And is that something that you can rely on your pediatrician to know?
Yes,
right?
we don't expect that parents know what's required for school or their typical vaccine schedule. So we're making sure every year they come that they're up to date. Most kids, as they're entering kindergarten, won't need any extra vaccines. They will have gotten them probably at their 4-year-old checkup. But if you're behind or weren't sure, it's a good idea to check with your pediatrician.
Yeah. What about, middle school? When is that that next round of shots that the kids need?
So the next time schools really check on vaccines is in 7th grade. So everyone says the 7th grade shots, but typically kids actually already had them well before 7th grade, maybe even 5th or 6th grade. So that's a good time to make sure they're up to date at 7th grade. And they'll need a tetanus booster for that.
Yeah, and what about high school? Anything parents need to do? There's more shots to get into high school.
There are some other vaccines that we recommend as they get into high school, especially like a meningitis booster, and that's important for kids entering college as well.
Yeah, let's talk about that because, when my first daughter was going to college, the school didn't require that because she was going out of state, but the pediatrician recommended that she get that vaccine. So why do you recommend that?
So meningitis is an infection that goes around the brain, and so there's a couple of meningitis vaccines that are protective. And as kids are maybe staying in a dorm or an apartment building and that with lots of other kids, it can spread like wildfire. So it's really important to get that vaccine before they go.
So even if the college doesn't require it, because some out of states don't, you might want to get that.
Yes, I think it's a really helpful thing for especially college kids to have.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about physicals. Most people think of physicals when they're going to try out for a sport.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
So I think it's important for kids to at least check in with their pediatrician once a year and have a yearly physical. We talk about all kinds of things: growth, development, if they're ready for school, how they're doing in school, any school problems. There's a wide variety of things that we discuss, and also talk about some things to expect in the next year. So it's important to do that. And then on top of it, if your child's playing sports, great idea to get that sports physical out of the way.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that yearly physical a little bit because it's just a great way. This is so much information, right, that we just mentioned here. Parents can't keep track of it all if they have multiple kids. So if you just keep that yearly appointment, then the pediatrician's office really helps you keep all of that on track. And you all do so much more at those appointments.
Yes, it's, a lot of people think of it right before school starts, but you could do it around their birthday time. As long as it's once a year, that's perfectly fine. And I always tell parents not to wait till the week before school starts because our offices are totally slammed with other people that waited until the day before school starts.
I always found it's better to do it around the birthday because then
it's easier to remember.
You kind of spread it out and you're not in that mad rush.
Yes.
Okay. Any advice for someone who is like, oh, I need these shots like tomorrow or my kid can't go to school?
Yeah, I think call your pediatrician's office now. We are used to working with families. We'll do our best to accommodate. And if you have questions about vaccines or questions about what your child might need to be ready for school, your pediatrician is a great resource to talk to them about your specific child and your specific concerns.
Yeah. What about, I know a lot of kids are on medications, so it's important to, I guess, talk to your pediatrician about that and how they're going to maybe take that if they need to take it during the day at school.
There may even be special forms that the school requires if your child has asthma, diabetes, ADHD, any chronic condition where they might need a medication at school or might be taking a medication at home that the teacher might need to know about. It's important that the school get to know about that, and they may even have forms that have to be filled out before school starts.
Yeah. What about, that we hear a lot about athletes, right, and the heart.
Yes.
So are there any special tests that athletes need when it comes to that, or is that part of the physical?
It's really part of your traditional sports physical. We talk about family history, any family history of sudden cardiac death or other heart problems. We do a really in-depth physical exam for a sports physical, and eventually there might even be some screening tests that are done.
Right, but right
for
now
sports.
it's not part of the annual.
Right now, not a
physical.
required
Yeah.
part of the annual physical.
But if you're concerned about it, or if you have a family history, maybe bring it up.
Yes, definitely. It's important to address anything in your family history before we would allow an athlete to play sports.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I think the best advice is to have a good relationship with your child's pediatrician
Yes.
and keep those yearly appointments.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
And give us a call now.
Yes, right. Don't wait to the last minute. There's still a couple of weeks, a few weeks until school starts. So thanks for coming on.
Thanks for
Great
having me.
tips. Really appreciate it. And you can get more information by going to the website listed right there on your screen.